Elisia stared silently at Caleb. The atmosphere in the room was thick with tense silence. The longer her gaze fixed on him, the paler Caleb's face became. "Your Highness, I told you to stand up," Elisia repeated in a calm, unreadable voice. As soon as she said it, Caleb stood up. She gestured to the sofa without a word. Caleb sat down tensely, hands resting on his knees. Elisia regarded him calmly for a moment, then sighed. She released the intense tension from the previous moments with a light laugh. A bright smile, like the one she had given him earlier, spread across her face. She shook her head gently, speaking in a gentle tone, "Caleb, there's no need for all this formality." "Liz." At her affectionate tone, Caleb's expression shifted. He looked relieved, and gripped her hand tightly. Elisia looked at his gloved hand with a gentle smile. She placed her hand atop his, and spoke warmly. "You know, Caleb, much has changed since the past. There are many things we must pay attention to now. We must be cautious. Especially since His Highness the Second Prince is strict in these matters. Just a little while ago, he became furious because lamb was served at my table." Elisia furrowed her brow as if holding back tears. Caleb seemed unsure of her explanation. "Annoyed, just by serving mutton? Lamb is only served at royal banquets." "But Sarah," Elisia trailed off. Then she continued with a sad expression, "This is my situation. His Highness does not like me. In fact, I think he almost hates me. So when you tried to see him as another woman, I felt hurt. I didn't realize that." Confusion showed on Caleb's face. Inwardly, Elisia smiled triumphantly. "Why did you have to choose the Roshanak family specifically?" She continued her words with a slight frown on her forehead. "The Roshanak family is the Empress's family, and one of the most prestigious noble houses. It is natural for all eyes to be on them. If you are related to that family, people will make up stories as they please." Aleisha paused for a moment. "I don't like to say this, but people will say you're blinded by greed for power, even if that's not the case. I'm just worried that rumors will reach you." "I didn't know you felt like this." Caleb lowered his head, remorse evident in his features at the misunderstanding. When he lowered his gaze, Elisia's gaze suddenly turned cold. She watched him with cold eyes, then a smile touched her lips. Her eyes did not smile, but she continued the conversation gently, "With everything that is happening with the second prince, and since I was worried about you, I overreacted. I am sorry. Did it upset you?" "No, never. Please, there is no need to apologize." Caleb shook his head quickly. When he raised his eyes, Elisia's features turned serious. "But still, I'm sorry, for frightening you." She patted his hand. If anyone saw them now, they would think that a worried little sister was comforting her older brother. With his caution completely gone, Caleb finally said what he had come for. "Actually, I came back because I have something important to discuss. If you'll forgive my haste, can I offer some advice?" "Why do you say that?" "Of course, talk as you wish." As soon as she gave him permission, Caleb smiled and bowed slightly, then lowered his voice. "Since the rumors have been mentioned, ever since you became a member of the royal family, the situation of the Ambrose family has worsened. There are even those who say that the second prince tried to reduce the dowry by half. Since you did not invite us to the wedding, people have begun to avoid the Ambrose family." Caleb frowned worriedly. "If you had not invited me to the ball, the Ambrose family would have been completely ostracized from noble society." "Really? I didn't know." "Being in the palace, it is difficult to hear news about the House of Ambrose." "That's normal. But, Your Highness, the honor of the Ambrose family is your honor as well. If the family's strength increases, you will become stronger. But if it declines, I'm afraid it will negatively affect you." "It is possible," Elisia answered in a serious tone. In fact, she could barely suppress a sarcastic laugh. Everything Caleb was saying was nonsense. She already knew that Franz had not touched the dowry. She also knew that the dowry she received had already been squandered by the House of Ambrose. At that time, she thought it was her stepmother. But after seeing Caleb today, she realized that wasn't the case. Everything he wore was of the highest quality, fit for royalty. In the past, Aleisha would not have noticed this. But now, after countless discussions about noble fashion with Lucette, she immediately recognized luxury. Of all the things he wore, the gloves were the simplest, her personal gift, given to the royal family. That was his simplest thing. As for the rest, it was pure luxury. And when she thought about the past, even his formal clothes were of the finest quality, but only with a simple design. Now he doesn't bother to hide it. He was wearing a jacket with gold buttons on both sides and luxurious embroidery. The lovely sheen of the fabric indicated that it was Asturias silk, the most expensive on the market currently. And it wasn't just the jacket. His cravat pin was encrusted with luxurious rubies, and his shoes were the same ones that Crichton recently wore. He wears the same shoes as the first prince? This can't be a coincidence. Aleisha narrowed her eyes slightly. It seemed suspicious that he would suddenly appear with Nerys. She had suspected from the beginning that there was a relationship between the first prince and Nerys, as they were classmates at the academy. Now, she was certain. So what do you want from me? All that remained was to reveal his true intentions. Elisia asked quietly, an innocent smile on her beautiful face. Caleb seemed satisfied, thinking he had succeeded in manipulating her. He held her hand tightly and said, "Please, keep inviting me to the palace. Let everyone see that you care about the Ambrose family, so we can restore our reputation." Will it really make much difference? I don't think it will make much difference. Elisia tilted her head and rolled her eyes innocently. Caleb's face briefly showed annoyance, then he smiled again. Or, you can share part of your personal allowance. My allowances? You mean the allowances of the second prince's wife? Yes. I can buy a small house in Caleb's with that money. If I lived in the capital, you would feel safer too. That is not possible. Aleisha hunched her shoulders and let out a long sigh. Caleb frowned. Why not? My budget is managed by the second prince. What? You administer your allowances? I told you, he doesn't like me. I think he's afraid I'll misuse the palace's money. Confusion appeared on Caleb's face. It was clear to him now, Aleisha had not changed. But, as long as he cannot exploit it, there is no benefit to be expected. They could no longer be used to approach Franz via Nerys. He at least hoped he would get some money. She can't even use her allowance? What a fool. What did she do to get here? Caleb barely suppressed his urge to scream at her. His foolish half-sister, who had nothing but her innocence, still lived naively inside the palace. There is no hope for her. It needs to be gotten rid of, and fast. Caleb slowly withdrew his hand from hers, then spoke with a sad expression, I will talk to the first prince. I can't bear to see you living like this. Truly? Elisia's eyes sparkled, and she took his hand again, almost crying. Thanks, Caleb. You're all I have. Just trust me. Caleb answered in a serious tone, and stood up. As he hurried out, he called out, I have to arrive at the first prince's palace before the ceremony starts and inform him. See you later. Caleb, please, make sure you explain everything clearly. Elisia called him warmly as she bid him farewell. As soon as he disappeared through the door, the sparkle faded from her eyes. As she heard his hurried footsteps echoing in the hallway, Elisia smiled faintly. Soon she saw him passing by the fountain behind the window, so she muttered, Yes, go. Go tell them how miserable I am. How pathetic I am. So that no one would even think about watching me. Make sure the first prince knows that. Alicia's smile widened as she watched Caleb's shadow move away.